Hi there, thanks for being here today. If you've been wondering what in the world is going on right now and feeling concerned, to say the least, about the state of the world, or struggling with a lot of the uncertainty and upheaval, the intensity, the chaotic situations, or the rapid rates of change, loss, unexpected shifts, perhaps in personal life and in the collective, I am hoping today to share a perspective with you that I hope will be really useful for you and also comforting and also hopeful. And going forward, I'll be also sharing some ideas and ways to kind of cope in this big time that we're in and to help you keep finding your balance and your center, your integrity, help you live in your authenticity for your best health and well being and vibrancy, and to stay aligned, leading the life that you want from the deepest levels of your heart and soul and path, even amid everything that's going on right now. So, welcome to the show for all of us. And if you're new here, thanks so much for joining. I'm Sarah Moran. My background's in journalism and writing about these kinds of topics about self care and wellness, well being, resilience. And I also am available to teach or support individuals or groups with education around making healthy lifestyles, lifestyle choices that will help you feel better in your body, your mind, your spirit. And before we get started today with the framework around what in the world's going on, I just want to first give some big love, big compassion. These are big times that we're in and that we have ahead of us. And I just really want to pause to say, there's a lot that can feel like it's pressing in on us or pulling us apart, weighing on our hearts, and making our minds spin. We're kind of experiencing unprecedented levels of conflict and overt hatred, violence, division, routine traumas, things happening one after another, after another, after another. Some man made events, some are earth and climate changes, and many of us are being directly affected, or know someone close to us, or are experiencing these things in our communities. And in many cases, there's this kind of global breakdown, and it's happening on a personal level too, where there's perhaps a loss of health, a loss or sudden change in a relationship, a loss of work or financial stability or home or sense of community, loss of sense of safety, a loss of trust, a loss of innocence. And there, with all of that, can be a lot of fear and anxiety, a lot of disheartenment, discouragement, and depression, outrage, anger, exhaustion, and overwhelm. So we are dealing with a lot. So again, sending big love and big compassion to everyone. And that's a piece we'll talk about more as one of the ways to help navigate through these times that we're in. Okay, so the imagery and the analogy that I want to frame this around is an image of a house. So I would invite you to hold that image of a house in your mind. And the house represents all of us. It's our world, it's humanity, it's creation here on planet Earth. And the thing about the house is it is time for an upgrade. It's time for a deep renovation and a cleaning, a clearing, and a new version. It's time to bring the house to a new level because we are growing and have grown as a human family, the one interconnected human family residing in the house that is all of us. So we are expanding, we are elevating, we have outgrown this old house in many ways. And it's time for more expanded and elevated perspectives, more expanded and elevated states of consciousness and awareness, ways of being, ways of living, ways of doing life. And we just simply can't fit into the confines and the limitations of the house that we've been in. And also, there are some major issues with the house that we've been in. There are some significant structural errors, things that haven't been properly addressed. And perhaps it's about cracks in the foundation or instability in the foundation or leaks in the roof as examples. So there's a need for some deep levels of repair that we either haven't personally or collectively wanted to address or made proper reparations for. Maybe we haven't seen all of the issues that were lurking under the surface, or maybe we just sort of didn't want to see them, um, and acknowledge the problem and have been trying to put it off or kind of shove it under the rug, keep it inside the wall, set things aside, avoid and deny it. And again, this could be whether it's something within ourselves or within the collective that, needs to be addressed. And now it's just time where some of these deeper things that have been lurking need to be looked at, addressed, cleaned up, and repaired so that we can grow and elevate and evolve into who we can really be as humanity. And so this is the time we find ourselves in now, is the midst of a massive renovation, expansion, and elevation project. Because what we need is a house that works for everyone, for every being that is part of it, part of this big web of creation and of life. And the foundations of the house and the systems and structures of the house need to work for everyone as well. So, for our analogy, let's say the systems like plumbing and heating and cooling and electricity are the systems we have created in modern life related to how do we do health and healthcare or work, childcare, education, government, finance, economy. What are our social and cultural norms, the way we do media, how we do food, water, environment, just all of the sort of current modern way of life, which is not working for everyone and is deeply out of balance in so many ways and making it hard for people to hold their own balance within that context. So there are many systems and structures and dynamics where our true nature and the way I feel we are designed to be and our true creativity and potential is being squashed. And there's situations where there's power over, or there's inequality, or violations of dignity, just a lack of true vision and right, clear seeing. And where we're not seeing the whole picture, we're not seeing the whole person, or we're not seeing the long story. And so these systems we have in place are just not as elevated as they could be and need to be at this point. They're not serving the whole. They're not offering, equitable or sacred reciprocity. They're not sustainable or respecting all beings and all of life. They're not supporting the way that we're designed to be or working for our best health and well-being and alignment, body, mind, and soul, and evolution. And this isn't about, oh, we need a little tweak here or tweak there. We can keep modifying a little bit of this, a little bit of that, kind of looking to what we've been taught to bring that in, what we were handed down to create like a slightly modified future. My sense is this is about a brand new blueprint, a reimagination that really comes from deep in the heart and from higher vision and a higher mind and just starting from that deep place. But in order to really move into the new vision and the upgraded, expanded house, some of those old issues really need to be addressed. In some cases, taken apart, examined more fully. And that's a messy, chaotic, and in some cases, a hurtful process that at times might feel like it has no end and like it's going nowhere and like everything's just falling apart. And it might feel like there's just too many problems to sort anything out. It's too hard to see amid all the mess and the yuck and the muck and the dirt and the dust and the grime that has been below the surface. And now it's sort of being all kicked up into the air. It can be hard to see clearly. And again, because this is happening on the macro level, the global, the collective, as well as in many cases, the micro level, people's personal lives, this is because our inner lives are often reflected in our outer circumstances, and the outer circumstances are a reflection of our collective inner worlds as well. We'll talk more about that. But for now, to say you might be feeling, again, your own personal life, the structures and norms and expectations, the beliefs that made up your life or that have made up your sense of safety might feel like they're crumbling apart too. maybe changes and supports that you always thought would be there, whether that's a person, a relationship, your health, your body, your work situation, or finances, or your sense of yourself and who you are, and where you belong, your identity. Maybe institutions that you always trusted without question or feel that you need or rely upon. All these things are changing so rapidly, in some cases coming apart or being turned upside down. And it can lead to that uncertainty and sense of, how will I ever get to the next step? How will I get out of this mess? And one thing I do want to say about some of that undoing and some of those losses is that there can be a gift in it where perhaps we're relying on things that we thought we needed. That what if some of those things have actually been limiting us, or some of those beliefs and ways of seeing have actually been limiting us and keeping us constrained, and now we can be more open to seeing potential. One of the things that we have going for us on this massive renovation, upgrade, elevation project is huge overhead light, or in other words, higher guidance. So I feel the higher guidance is pouring down on the project more and more and more, and brighter and brighter and brighter. And as it does, we're going to see the problems more and more clearly. So things that have been hidden, in the shadows or under the surface are coming more to light, bearing in mind through that process that those things have always been there. We just perhaps couldn't see them as clearly. So maybe there's a big crack in a central wall, and inside there's insect nest or a mold issue, and we can't deny that anymore as the walls come down and the light's there to show us what's been there. And the gravity of some of this can feel really scary and overwhelming and exhausting when so much is happening at once. And the human part of us can feel very destabilized and ungrounded, leading to a lot of fear. And then what feels like even more chaos, because people are feeling pushed to the edges and they don't know how to handle their emotions. And you can walk around and kind of sense people on the brink, or sometimes perhaps feel that way yourself. And in that kind of confusion and topsy-turvy world where it's like, I relied on this, or I counted on this as being true, and now if I see this in my external world, my whole internal world of my belief systems, or what I learned or was taught about how things should be or would be, are my programming, don't make sense anymore. And so sometimes what happens then is a tendency to cling even harder to the old and to hold on even tighter to that which feels comfortable or familiar or safe, and to dig our heels even deeper. And that can also sometimes ramp up the tendency to go into us or them thinking, us versus them, or I'm right and they're wrong, or to get lost in the sense that I'm just a victim of this world, and to get lost in the energy of judgment of self and of others, and a sense of increasing separation. And all of this is just getting lost in the muck and the dirt, instead of elevating ourselves to a higher place to look at it. And it is important to say here too that although this upgrade I feel needs to happen, do I wish it was happening without the hatred and the violence and the suffering and the incredible inequality and injustices, the judgment? Of course. And none of that's okay. And we all have free will to choose how we respond in these challenging times. And we need to keep choosing to come back to living our lives and making conscious choices that truly come from the heart and from a clear mind. And we can make those choices over and over again throughout this upgrade process, to choose love over and over again, despite how people around us might be responding to the situation. And with the escalating emotions and challenging, destabilizing situations, what happens a lot of times is people don't know what to do with that, and the emotions can either collapse inside or they get thrown out at other people. And we're seeing a lot of that right now. So, as anybody knows, with a big organization project or a big renovation project, it looks worse and messier at first. You take everything out of the junk drawer, or you take everything out of the closet, or you start taking down the wall and you discover another problem. And it's going to look like a big mess at first. And you might want to look the other way. You might be going, I didn't even think we needed to do this project in the first place. I was perfectly happy with the old house. Thank you very much. And my junk drawer was serving its purpose. But it's happening nonetheless. And it's now at this point where we're looking at some of the things and going, does this serve us anymore? Do we really need this anymore? And if not, what do we do with it? And what do we want to put back in the drawer, or put back in the closet, or bring to the new blueprint when we're at that time? What do we want to start bringing into that vision? And ultimately, this is also an inside job. So we might want to look the other way and resist and say it's all out there and it's all their fault, instead of doing the deep self-inquiry that is required to say, how can I do my own inner upgrade on the house that is me and my mind, my heart, my body, my soul, and therefore help with the global upgrade project. We've all heard that saying, you must be the change you wish to see in the world, and that's really true and really applies in this situation as well. And there's also that quote from Albert Einstein that I think really applies, which is something like, no problem can be solved from the same level of consciousness that created it. And that's where this isn't about getting lost in the various tug of wars that we're seeing, or in the muck and the grime and the ground level. It's about raising your level of awareness and your consciousness and your spirit and your connection to your higher guidance, your connection to your heart, in order to see this from a higher level, to see your own personal situations and to see global situations and things happening outside of you, and to step away from judgment, to step away from assumptions, to step away from the desire to hold on or dig your heels, and to let go of limiting beliefs about yourself and others and whatever the various programming that you have, to be willing and brave enough to let that go. And on that note, I would invite you to listen to one of my previous episodes, episode 7, which is called Who Are You Really and Who Am I? And that is about the topic of identity and how you look at yourself and look at others, and in doing so and really examining that and being willing to ask hard questions, it takes responsibility for your part in your own inner peace and also in global peace. And ultimately, when we dig down to it, we get down to this core truth that we are all souls in a body having this human experience here together on planet Earth. And we're all here as part of creation. And anything beyond that is really part of a story or an identity that would benefit from being further examined. So I would invite you to listen to that. And if you've already heard it, maybe even listen again, because I think it could be really helpful in letting go of some of the paradigms and thought patterns and structures and beliefs that can keep us stuck in the muck on that ground level with all the dirt, and holding on to what we inherited and what we were taught and what our mind thinks. And the more we let go of that, the more that we step into being more open in our ways of thinking and expanded, more imaginative and creative, more visionary, more loving and from the heart, and able to really say, how can we do things as humanity? How can life on planet Earth really look? How could our systems and structures serve all of us better when we're talking about agriculture, farming, water, when we're talking about school and developing children and our work life and finances and the economy and healthcare, how we care for our health, how we do all of these things. And we are seeing more of that. We're seeing more innovation, higher vision, heart-centered ideas on a scale of making new ways to do these structures, and also more just love and compassion and kindness in people's everyday little interactions, more holding on to that desire for kindness and caring, and more people seeking alignment with their own body and mind and spirit, and seeing the interconnectivity of all things, of all people, of all beings with our planet, And these things are really happening more and more, and it gives a lot of hope. It's just that they're not always as visible or as loudly pronounced as the challenges that we're seeing right now. So, in sum, my sense is that we're just in this time of an intense upleveling as this old house kind of comes down. And it's a time when things are really messy and they're breaking apart in many cases on the collective and personal levels. And this is challenging and painful. It is a big, intense time. But it's our call also to start building anew with an expanded vision to do life in a way that isn't just tied to what we've been handed down, but comes from that deep heart space and that clear mind, open to higher vision, open to higher guidance. And we do have the higher guidance, and that light's getting turned up brighter and brighter, and it's going to show us more and more what's hidden in ourselves that we still need to look at, what's been hiding in the shadows of our collective that we haven't fully cleaned up and cleared and healed, so that we can reinvent and reimagine at a higher level. And this really is a time of like intense human potential, immense jumps in human consciousness, and a greater awareness of what we're really capable of, and rebuilding something that works for everybody, that's truly about love, that's built from the heart, not just what our intellect and our mind wants to say to justify or rationalize or think its way through, but really through the heart, with a more clear mind working as its partner. And we can do this by continually opening and opening and opening our minds, and opening and opening and opening our hearts, and continually choosing a path of consciousness and love in our daily life, in our daily reactions and interactions and responses over and over and over again. And we can create a life with ourselves and in our greater world that's more in balance and more aligned with our true nature, how we're designed to live and be and expand, aligned in the mind, the body, and the soul. And where we're also living in harmony and sacred reciprocity with the earth and the animals, the plants, and so on, and recognizing our interconnectivity as a global family, knowing that we are all brothers and sisters. And when we can focus on creating that way of life based on love and compassion and respect, truth, caring, and grace, we look at what is peace and what does that mean? How do we live in ways that honor and respect other people's authenticity and to be their authentic self, and respect their autonomy, and to promote and support true health and well-being and healing and growth and evolution? And we're in the process of doing that and creating a more expanded and elevated house. It's on the way. And again, there's more in a process than meets the eye. There's more people doing the inner work and showing up to the world with kindness and speaking up with love consciously where it's called for, and trying to move things forward in a visionary or entrepreneurial spirit, finding innovative ways to do education and healthcare and food and all kinds of things. So we all have free will, and we're called to be part of this process simply because we're here at this time. So we can ask ourselves, what is my part? And looking into, where do I feel energized? Where do I feel passionate? Um, what do I feel the most called to do or to be as part of this time? And some phrases that some teachers I follow use are sacred activism and inspired action. What's your sacred activism? What's your inspired action? Where can you assist and support with this kind of undoing, repair, cleanup, healing, and rebuilding and revisioning and leaping in evolution? So maybe you're the one who's called to clean out those clogged pipes, or to do the real heavy lifting. Or maybe you're a support person for the person doing the heavy lifting. Or you're doing work in restorative justice in some way. Or you're going to bring the casserole to the crew today. Or maybe you're someone envisioning ways to bring clean, pure water to the new house. Or you are holding regular sacred space in your prayer or your meditation time over the blueprint, and you are holding the vision of this new upgraded humanity that we can step into. And maybe you're spending more time connecting alone in nature, being with the earth on the grounds, and appreciating and having gratitude for it, and giving it the understanding that it deserves, and finding ways to bring that forward then later into the new vision. And by the way, if you're looking for clues about what my role might be, again, to do or to be in this time and in this process, you check in with your heart and see what energizes you. My most recent episode, episode 12, I believe, was called something about my favorite piece of wisdom that I've received. You could have a listen to that if you'd like and see if it gives you some ideas. So I would invite you to just keep holding that illustration that we're in a house project where the old house is coming down and it's a major construction, renovation, and expansion project, and to keep holding that vision, even while things are falling apart or look even worse or look impossible. Hold the vision that there's a new blueprint on the way, and what do you want that vision of a new blueprint to be? So again, words like compassion or peace or acceptance, what do you want it to hold? And I would just say keep that open, clear mind and keep expanding from the heart, keep connecting to higher guidance for assistance and guidance on, bringing the details of that vision into fruition. And another analogy that is similar and might resonate more with you is that of the caterpillar turning into the butterfly. And we're kind of in that mush stage where the caterpillar's in the chrysalis and it's just in the mush. And it's not going to go back to the caterpillar. And if it tries to hold on to that as what it wants, things are just not going to work out. In this time of mush, it's about envisioning flying and getting to that new step and envisioning what comes next when the time is right, which is the butterfly. So holding that analogy might be helpful as well when things seem really unclear, because in that stage it's not clear what the potential is, that a caterpillar is going to come out completely different as a butterfly. So what can we create too that's along those lines? And over the coming episodes, I'll be talking, of course, about more about this upgrade project and how to work with it, how to cope, because it's not an easy time. And for me, always comes back to self-care, 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 self-awareness, and knowing yourself. And pretty much everything I share is going to be about trying to help you make it easier to do that, because of course, I feel that when you take really good care of yourself, you're in a better position to be a clear and loving, part of this whole collective vision. So I hope that this is helpful to you. And if you haven't already, you can subscribe free on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Follow the show on YouTube. If you hit the bell to get notifications, you'll know when there's a new episode. And you can also, planning to get started on Substack. If you search for Sarah Moran or the @ForAllOfUs, you can subscribe for free there to receive an email when a new episode comes out once I get that going. And again, I'll just continue to be sharing more ideas about ways to help you stay balanced and aligned within yourself, even if the outside is really topsy-turvy and really challenging. And I hope that this information is helpful to you. And if you like it, please like it and share it with someone if you think it would be a benefit potentially to them as well. So in closing, thank you for taking the time to listen and to care about these things. And again, sending a lot of compassion and love everyone's way for these big times that we're in. It's not easy, but I really do feel hopeful that we can get to a better place with time and intention, and with going back to our hearts and, making these efforts. So Everybody take care, and thanks again for being here. Bye.